She hadn't even buckled her seatbelt when it happened. One moment, a black woman quietly settled into her seat. The next, the flight attendant's shadow fell over her like a warning. No one could explain the sudden hostility. No one understood how a routine safety check turned into an eruption of anger. But they all saw the moment the attendant snapped, saw her hand rise, saw the strike that silenced the entire cabin. Phones lifted, gasps echoed, and as passengers froze in disbelief, the woman who had been assaulted simply sat there calm, composed, almost unfazed. It wasn't shock. It wasn't fear. It was the look of someone who knew a truth powerful enough to end a career. And seconds later, that truth would crush the flight attendant's entire future. Jordan Hayes wasn't traveling for leisure. She was on her way to finalize one of the largest corporate partnerships her company had ever negotiated. As the CEO of an emerging tech empire, she had just wrapped up a week of back-to-back meetings, board presentations, and strategy sessions that would exhaust anyone else. She wasn't dressed like a CEO today, no tailored suit, no badge of authority, just a woman who wanted one quiet flight home. She walked onto the plane unnoticed, which she preferred. Every year of her life had taught her that being underestimated sometimes worked in her favor. But it also meant people projected their assumptions onto her. It never surprised her anymore. It only drained her. The flight was supposed to be ordinary, a moment of rest before the next storm of decisions waiting for her. She placed her bag overhead, sat down, and exhaled. But the peace lasted less than a minute. She felt it before she fully saw it. The sharp judgment from a flight attendant named Claire, the tight expression, the way she scanned Jordan as if she didn't belong in that seat. It wasn't new. But this time, it wouldn't end with a tense stare or silent resentment. This time, it would explode. Claire moved with the controlled stiffness of someone who wanted authority more than the job itself. She checked rows, offered polite smiles to some passengers. Yet her eyes kept drifting back to Jordan with increasing irritation. It wasn't about safety checks. It wasn't about airline policy. It was the ugly assumption that some people needed to be put in their place. Small things escalated. Claire hovered too long. She reached across Jordan unnecessarily. She scrutinized every minor movement, even when Jordan was simply adjusting her seat. People in nearby rows noticed the tension tightening with every passing second. But it was what happened next that snapped the thread. Claire's irritation built into something sharper, something she stopped hiding. She stepped closer, her posture fueled by a mix of anger and superiority. She reached suddenly toward Jordan, aggressive and invasive. Jordan leaned back instinctively, but Claire's hand didn't stop. It made contact, an impulsive, violent action that echoed through the cabin. The passengers reacted before Jordan did. Gasps erupted. Someone's drink slipped. A child stopped talking mid-sentence. A man in first class stood up. Phones rose instantly, capturing the moment, the shock, the blatant assault. Jordan didn't jump, didn't shout, didn't crumble. She sat rooted, breathing slowly, staring up at Claire with an unsettling calmness, as if she had seen this moment before, as if she already knew how far the consequences would fall. Her silence was louder than any outburst could have been. Claire suddenly realized what she had done. Her face shifted from anger to panic. She stepped back, stuttering apologies that came too late, her voice cracking beneath the weight of witnesses. Then the supervisor appeared, alerted by panicked whispers and urgent calls from passengers. And when she reached Jordan, everything changed. Her expression shifted completely. Not fear, respect. She recognized the name on the passenger list. She knew exactly who Jordan Hayes was. And she knew the airline had spent the last 6 months desperately trying to secure a massive corporate partnership with her tech company. A partnership Jordan had the authority to approve or destroy. The tension in the air became suffocating. The supervisor's demeanor transformed instantly, apologetic, protective, alarmed. She escorted Claire aside, her voice stern and low, while passengers continued filming. The truth began spreading row by row like wildfire. Jordan Hayes wasn't just a passenger. She was the woman whose signature determined whether the airline would receive a multimillion-dollar contract. The same woman Claire had just assaulted. Claire's legs seemed to weaken. Her breathing grew shallow as the realization hit her harder than any disciplinary action could. The supervisor made it official. Claire was removed from duty on the spot. She wouldn't finish the flight. She wouldn't hide behind protocol. And she wouldn't silence the witnesses. Jordan didn't move. She didn't need to. Her stillness was its own form of judgment. The passengers around her felt chills seeing how composed she remained, how her silence carried more authority than anything the crew could muster. For Claire, this wasn't just a mistake. It was a career-ending disaster, and it had unfolded in front of an entire plane full of witnesses. But the worst part wasn't the humiliation. It was knowing exactly who she had laid hands on, and what that woman had the power to do next. When the plane landed, airline executives were already waiting at the gate. They scrambled to control the fallout, offering apologies, explanations, and pleas for reconsideration. But Jordan had experienced this too many times in her life to be swayed by polished statements or corporate regret. Jordan didn't shout. She didn't threaten. She simply documented everything, thanked the passengers who came forward, and walked calmly into the terminal, leaving behind a silence heavier than anger. 2 days later, the partnership was canceled. Not postponed. Not renegotiated. Canceled completely. Her board supported her unanimously. The airline lost the deal. Claire lost her career. And the world gained another reminder of something society still refuses to confront. A black woman can build a company, lead an empire, transform industries, and still be treated as if she doesn't belong. But this time, that assumption came with consequences too powerful to ignore. Jordan didn't seek revenge. She simply protected her dignity. And in doing so, she sent a message that echoed far beyond that plane. When prejudice strikes blindly, it never sees whose life it's trying to diminish. And sometimes, it strikes the very person who has the power to bring everything crashing down. ***.